I fell in love with the island full of beautiful bells and Mediterranean sunlight and winds. Today we head for Mdina, the citadel city with traces of St. Paul, and the Blue Grotto full of blue ripples of light. What kind of exciting world awaits us there? Malta is located between Europe and Africa, in the center of the Mediterranean countries. Countless pieces of its long history are preserved here, and it's referred to as the repository of Europe's culture. Now, from Vittoriosa, I head to Mdina, my last destination. Vittoriosa is in eastern Malta and one of the three cities. I notice soldiers holding flags and spears and wearing unique uniforms enter the fortress. Vittoriosa is where the Knights of St. John first settled in Malta, and every May a unique parade is held to celebrate that event.
So what kind of the parade?
Military drill is as historically accurate as possible, depicting at the time of the siege is 1565.
The In Guardia parade reenacts the fortress garrison. Right then, a large drum sounds, and two soldiers appear to indicate the start of the parade. Mdina, which was the capital at the time, was too far from the sea, according to the Knights, so they built Vittoriosa to the east.
Pour la visite du grand bailli.
Il governatore del forte esorta i suoi uomini alla migliore dimostrazione di prodezza militare.
To prepare for enemy invasions, they formed the Garrison Fortress. The reenactment shows the officers checking to ensure that the military is well trained. As if an actual war broke out, the soldiers moved hurriedly and efficiently. I could feel the valor of the knights that protected Malta. "15 kilometers west of Vittoriosa stands Mdina, Malta's old capital. It is a citadel city located on high land.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry that you had to wait.
No problem.
But
no problem.
I was
I'm
told...
Johnny.
Johnny?
Yeah?
Johnny, my name's Agnes. Hello. These walls were built in the 16th century by the Knights of St. John, but originally all the walls were built for the first time during the 9th century, by the Arabs, of course.
Before the Knights came to Malta in the early 16th century, it was the political capital and oldest city.
So we're coming in through the main gate. You see it's very sculptured. It was built in 1734, as it says. Now on top of the main gate are three figures. St. Paulus is in the middle. And St. Paulus is depicted always with a viper coming out of the flames and then touching itself to his hand, because that's what happened to him when he came to Malta. And nothing happened to him, so the people of Malta thought that he was a god.
St. Paul's Island is located northeast of Malta. St. Paul was in a shipwreck in 60 BC on his way to Rome. This led to the spread of Christianity in Europe, and Malta became known as the Holy Land of Christianity. While in Malta, Paul healed Publius's father, who had a fever. Publius was the governor of Malta. From then on, Publius converted to Christianity and became the first bishop of Malta. To commemorate this incident, they built a cathedral at the place where Paul and Publius met.
This is St. Paul's Cathedral. It was built in 1702, just at the beginning of the 18th century, by a very famous architect called Lorenzo Gaffa.
We enter the cathedral, and it's full of grandeur and colorful Baroque decorations. After a major earthquake in 1690, the cathedral was rebuilt in 1702. One of the things that catch people's eye is the life of the Apostle Paul painted by a 17th century Italian artist named Mattia Preti on the towering dome ceiling. The bodies of the clergy that were martyred while spreading the gospel are buried in the basement of the cathedral. Building underground catacombs was part of early Christian culture.
제가 지금 걷고 있는 이 석판 밑에는 과거 성직자들의 무덤으로 지금 되어 있습니다. 그 위를 제가 지금 걷고 있으니까 마음도 좀 경건해지고 숭고한 마음이 저절로 지금 들고 있습니다.
The patterns on the marble covering the floor signify their achievements and career. The more tassels on each side, the greater their achievements. We leave the cathedral.
So this is the main street of Mdina, the street that divides the town in two. On the left-hand side is the older part of the town, and this is the Baroque side of the town, the part that was rebuilt after the earthquake.
Mdina is located up high to prevent invasions. It was an area where aristocrats resided in the Middle Ages.
예전에 이 귀족들이 이 큰 집을 혼자서 딱 살았다고 합니다. 저 같으면 무서워서 못 살겠습니다.
The old buildings and the old areas around them connect to a small alley nicknamed the Silent Street.
길이 S자로 이렇게 휘어져 있습니다.
The alley is curved due to war. The curve made it easy to hide from enemy fire, and also when being chased.
네, 음디나에 있는 이 골목길들은 처음 입구는 다 이렇게 넓어요. 넓은데 점점 가면서 이렇게 길이 휘어지기도 하고 점점 더 좁아집니다. 그 이유는 이제 마차 같은 것들이 이제 쉽게 쫓아오지 못하게 하려고 일부러 이렇게 만들었다고 합니다. 점점 좁아지죠.
Slowly strolling down the street makes it feel like I am taking a journey back into the Middle Ages. I walk for a while. When the delicate and beautiful sound of violins from a street catches my attention. The music resonates from the highest point of Malta. The performers and listeners all enjoy this midday street music. The beautiful melody gathers people of all genders and ages. I wonder who these people are.
For family, yes. We've been traveling for several months, actually, 6 months. So.
We're the Brock family. It's my wife, Melody. I'm Tim, Samuel, John, Stephen, and Joseph.
The four brothers play music and travel around the world with their parents, Melody and Tim. They bond through travel. I'm envious of this family and the beautiful harmonies they are able to achieve together.
길거리 가다가 만난 거리의 악사 패밀리들과 함께 즐거운 연주도 듣고요. 같이 함께 하자고 했는데 저거 또 돌아봐야 되기 때문에 또 좀 아쉽긴 합니다. 너무 부러워요. 저렇게 여유롭고 자유로운 게.
I put my regrets behind me and continue on.
We're going to Rabat, the suburb of Mdina, and we're going to the center of Rabat through these narrow streets. In fact, this is the oldest part of Rabat.
Is there any the difference from Mdina?
Of course. Yes, Rabat is much larger. There are much more people living in Rabat. And in Mdina, you get these big buildings, these big palaces. And in Rabat, the houses are smaller.
Although it's right next to Mdina, the atmosphere is quite different.
아까 귀족들이 살던 집하고는 좀 차이가 많이 나네요. 규모면도 좀 틀리고.
If Mdina is the city of aristocrats, then Rabat is the people's city. After walking for a while, I feel a bit hungry, and delicious-looking cookies start to tempt me.
Thank you.
They're delicious. You don't find them in Seoul, these. They're filled with dates, chef. These are filled with dates. Good, processed.
가뜩이나 지금 배고팠는데 너무 맛있습니다. 안에 촉촉하고요.
Very delicious.
Thank you.
Nice.
It's very popular in Malta. Look at this almonds and this mix.
This is very good.
The traditional Maltese.
Yes, this traditional Maltese nougat is very popular in Malta for religious festivals. In summer at week in Malta's festival, this is very popular.
Tourists who come to Rabat all visit this famous traditional snack shop at least once.
How long the history for the
Me?
yeah with you and
Small boy. My father has worked there.
I can't seem to stop eating it.
Tomorrow you don't have to cook breakfast, eat them for breakfast.
Okay, go for breakfast. It's a low calorie.
Suddenly, the front of the store is bustling with customers.
아무도 없었는데 제가 서 있고 나서부터는 사람들이 하나 둘씩 모이더니만 제가 손님들 다 끌어왔습니다.
I could see from,
Try it, and you still
from
have-
over there.
And you still have to buy something. You can try it. 와, 한국에서 왔다 그러니까 먹을 걸 이만큼이나 줬습니다. 그리고 또 제가 또 많이 펴 줬습니다 지금. 나쁘지 않죠?
I become happy thanks to the generous owner. After he was shipwrecked, St. Paul stayed in Rabat for 3 months, spreading Christianity. And there are many traces of him left in this city. St. Paul's Church in Rabat We go down an underground passage and find a spacious room.
This is St. Paul's Grotto. So this was supposed to be a prison. All these grottos here in the ditch were prisons.
This place is famous as the underground cave where St. Paul lived during his stay in Rabat.
The place where St. Paul spent his nights while he was in Malta for 2 months in 60 AD.
They say it was a hideout for not only the Knights of St. John in the early 7th century, but also a shelter for people during the Second World War. In order to survive, they dug an entrance to the cave by hand. The pains of survival can be seen here. At the back of the church, the early Christians are buried in St. Paul's Catacombs. This underground catacomb was first discovered in 1894.
좀 소산합니다. 이끼들도 있고요.
10 meters below ground, at the end of the stairs lies the world of the dead.
So this is the agape table.
The round stone agape table was used for funerals and in annual memorial services for the dead. Family and friends of the deceased would gather and eat memorial food here. There are countless tombs on either side of the narrow passageways, which form a maze-like underground network. This is the largest early Christian catacomb in Malta, and at least 1,000 people rest here. There is only enough space for one person to lie down here. In order to flee persecution in Rome, early Christians in Rabat lived and died here.
상당히 좁습니다. 위층에도 있고 아래층에도 층별로 나눠져 있네요.
Life and death are cluttered together in this space. I feel solemn. The people who stood up for their faith lie in this place. I put my solemn emotions behind me and continue with my journey. I arrive at the famous Megalithic Temples of Malta, Hajar Lim. It is believed that Hajar Lim was built in 3300 BC. It is a prehistoric megalithic temple, and along with the Gozo Gantia, one of the oldest man-made structures in the world.
고인돌 속으로 들어온 것 같아요.
It's difficult to believe that such massive stones were used to build a temple before the time of the Great Pyramids of Giza. It is very impressive with its various oval rooms, walls and hallways connecting each room.
이 큰 돌 생긴 것도 좀 이렇게 구멍이 뽕뽕 뚫려 있는데 석회암이라고 하는데 이렇게 오랜 시간 동안 서 있던 거를 엿볼 수가 있네요.
These elaborately piled stones are from primitive times and are supposed to represent the body of voluptuous women. Here, I can get a glimpse into the cosmology of the ancient people who held religious ceremonies to worship women's fertility.
There used to be the high priest who normally hide behind the hole, and he goes shouting, you know, I am the person that you have to obey what I'm going to say, you know. And obviously the people will obey the priest or whoever he was behind the hole. Nobody knew who the person was. They thought that it was something coming from heaven, you know, the speaking behind the hole.
Some rocks weigh as much as 20 tons, and there are legends saying they were built by prehistoric giants.
와, 되게 웅장합니다. 그렇죠? 되게 웅장하네. 어떻게 세웠을까요, 이 큰 돌을?
It is still a mystery how they used sophisticated construction technology that held the structure up for thousands of years.
It was very high, and it was not just the goddess of fertility, but they used it in some ways also as a cemetery. But you have to imagine the height was about 3 times as much what you see here. And this is one of the most spectacular temples, and it's on the list of UNESCO the World Heritage Site.
The large stones placed upright like a circular room look like a clover from above. What did these people ask the gods for by piling these bulky rocks on top of one another? There are 30 of these found just in Malta. 5 of those temples, including Hajar Rim, are designated UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Malta's history leaves me in amazement. At the southernmost part of Malta, there is an oddly shaped cave and the Blue Grotto, famous for its clear water. This is one of Malta's most famous attractions and draws people all year long. Those who visit here can experience peace and freedom only found at the Mediterranean.
계속 있으면 안 될까요?
I want to go into the deep water. First, I check out the cave created by coastal erosion. Not long after, I see sheer rock cliffs spread out like a folding screen. Then I see the cave's entrance between strange rocks. Part of the Blue Grotto's entrance is underwater, so we have to take a boat. The blue sea is almost transparent. I can see why it's called a blue cave. The ceiling is low, and as we go further in, I see a cliff eroded by the waves throughout countless years. It looks magical. We pass through the underwater cave by boat and see mystical sights. We leave the cave formed over many years by the Mediterranean waves and wind and head back toward the island. The waves are unpredictable.
다이빙할 때는 물이 안 무서운데 조그만한 배 여러 명이 타고 있으니까 지금 파도가 잔잔하진 않거든요. 어이 겁나네.
The boat rocks scarily.
아유 배 뒤집힐 것 같아요. 아 이게 파도가.
It was very exciting.
아까 보셨죠? 이렇게 된 게 뭐 바이킹을 타고 한려해상 국립공원을 뭐 해금강 이런 데 막 본 것 같은 그런 느낌. 아주 좋네요. 근데 너무 좀 짧은 것 같아요.
The Blue Grotto is one of the most famous places in the world to divers.
이제 난파선의 선수 부분을 탐험해 보겠습니다.
It has an average depth of 30 meters. A large ship that is over 100 meters in length lies deep down in the water.
Malta diving is nice. You have a lot of wrecks and caves. Not that much fish life, but it's nice.
It's really good. It's really good. Here there's a shipwreck down to 30 meters more or less. It's really nice.
Anyone can enjoy diving in Malta. I was envious of the environment.
여기 사람들은 그냥 바로 앞에 있는 집 앞에 있는 바다에 들어가는 것 같은 것 같아요. 그냥 쉽게 그냥 다이빙을 그냥 즐기는 그냥 부러워요. 아 한국에 이 정도가 있으면 저는 매일매일 그냥 물속에 있었을 것 같아요. 자 들어가겠습니다.
I throw myself into the vast Mediterranean Sea. I feel happy with the clear, unobstructed sight. Soon I see a huge wreck. The boat is broken in half. The ship's name is El Farad. It was an oil tanker, but in 1995 it sank here due to a gas explosion. The biggest attraction of diving is exploring a totally new world. When underwater, you can easily explore stairs that are hard to climb or complex building structures. Although the wreck is relatively easy to approach, the length of 115 meters and weight of nearly 10,000 tons makes it impossible to explore in a single trip. The Farad once carried oil all around the world. It leaves behind its days of glory and falls into a deep slumber. People probably dive in order to see how these structures have become a part of nature for themselves.
난파선이 시야가 깨끗하니까 위에서도 아주 잘 보이고요. 난파선 속에 어떤 생물 이런 거는 그렇게 많이 있진 않았어요. 근데 나름 좀 웅장한 맛이 있었습니다.
Some become good friends due to their love of diving. Within the natural environment, the Maltese preserve their traditions and culture. I already miss Malta, where the sky, wind, and time drift by slowly.